Hey everybody, it's Golmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. And for this New Year's weekend, we're going to be competing in the final Festival in a Box Chaos Sealed event. This has taken place every weekend for the past 3 weekends, and it's a super high stakes, super high variance format. We're going to be building a deck out of 9 different packs, one from 9 different standard legal sets. So super wild, super crazy decks available in the format. Kind of fun to see what happens, but it is super high stakes, super high entry fee as well. That is the unfortunate part. It's 5,000 gems to play, and your best hope is to get your money back unless you get a 6-win run before only 2 losses. Then you may be able to win some physical Magic the Gathering product, but only if you are in the United States. So some flaws with this event, but overall it's kind of a cool format, definitely an interesting and fun time. So without further ado, let's just bust open these packs and see what we get to build with today. And looks like it's going to be some unfortunate rares for the final Festival in a Box Chaos Sealed event, because we've got some absolute unplayable stuff. Champion of the Perished might have enough zombies to do a little bit of work, but it's really designed specifically for Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Miria, Scholar of Antiquity, didn't even do anything within its own format and definitely won't do anything here. Invasion of Theros is highly unlikely to work at all, needing an Aura, God, or Demigod to make it worth playing, because you really want this to be a 2-for-1 where you get value from the first half and the second half of this card. Diabolic Intent has just not been good in Sealed. Sigarda's Summons is incredibly narrow and not good. Rhystic Study doesn't do anything. Our best rares are like Hidetsugu and Rowan, which are just like solid creatures for their mana value, and that's about it. So I'm kind of just gonna disregard our rares. I mean, we have a Kemba. Kemba's actually probably the best rare, being a mana sink that can keep spitting out these cat tokens, but these rares are generally pretty abysmal. It's gonna be much more important to find what these strongest colors in general are with all of our commons and uncommons. So take a peek at the mana fixing that we've got in terms of our colorless and multicolored cards. Starting off with the colorless, there's a quick draw dagger to keep in mind. It's just a pretty solid combat trick. It was pretty nice during Streets of New Capenna, so that might fit into our deck no matter what. None of the other colorless cards seem particularly good to me, but there is a little bit of fixing with like an Urn of Godfire, a Crossroads Candle Guide. It's not good mana fixing at all. These are just fixing when you really don't have other options, and Crystal Grotto kind of fits in that vein as well. Got a lot of green-red cards, but Jetmir's Fixer and Stimulus package are not likely to be super high value, super high synergy. Cinder/Slash Ravager doesn't work outside of its own format. It's not going to get the cost reduction often at all, so that's also not a good reason to be green-red. Rayev probably doesn't have a ton of good equipment or auras to go with them. We've got the one equipment here in colorless that I think is good. I don't think Hero's Heirloom is particularly good, but who knows. There's one Obscura Charm for blue, white, and black. The blue-red uncommons are also synergy pieces that just don't work. I guess Serum Core Chimera doesn't need anything that synergizes with it. You just want to play a lot of non-creature spells, but it was definitely better with Proliferate and with Oil counter synergies. And then Enthusiastic Mechanaut, we're just not going to have a super artifact-heavy deck because our artifacts aren't very good, unless we have a million blue and red artifacts, but that's unlikely. Really looks like almost everything we have for our multicolored uncommons and commons. It's really just not worth paying attention to. The black-white ones, they're also kind of narrow. They're kind of synergy pieces, but they're probably better than every other colors multicolored cards that I've seen, so I don't think I'm really keeping the multicolored stuff in mind here. I'm really just going to take a look at every color and just pick the strongest 2 colors regardless of what we've got going on there in multicolored and colorless. So white has a lot of spells here. How many actual playables does it have? Because Sigarda's Summons, Zealot's Convictions certainly don't count. Some other pretty narrow stuff I'm not a massive fan of. Yeah, I mean, these can make the cut in the right scenario, but they're not premium. I think we really just want to make a pile of premium stuff, look at that throughout the mana curve, and then put in like the fine filler and the unplayable stuff on the very far right for each color. Okay. Is Reign of Truth even good in this format? It really depends what we opened, but I don't think we're going to have a lot of artifacts and enchantments. There's 2 enchantments in there right now. And that's like kind of it. Probably not. I think the best thing our white has going for it is just like decent value plays at 3 mana. Inspiring Overseer is an excellent one. Woodland Acolyte's also pretty good for that card draw. Kemba's a great mana sink, and we've got decent removal with Cooped Up and Planar Disruption. This is the pile of filler that I wouldn't mind putting in the deck if we need to. But none of it's exciting to me. Yeah, white looks fine. What do we got out of blue here? Not playing Negate or Rhystic Study. Geistlight Snare might be okay. Fear of Death will not be, or bring the ending. Syncopate's probably our best counter spell. Let's put Geistlight into this pile as well. Picklock Prankster, so it just draws an instant or sorcery, so that's probably not. I mean, it's still a 2 mana 1/3 flying vigilance. That might be something. Yours is just a slow draw discard engine. Drownyard Amalgam just doesn't do anything. Attendance doesn't do much. Anatomus doesn't do anything. Wanderlight Spirit doesn't do anything. Third Passapont doesn't do anything. Nope. Alright, black, what do we got here? Got a couple zombies. Yeah, I have 2 non-champion of the perished zombies, which feels like not enough for that card. Battlefly Swarm at least trades with something always, but it's not a great reason to play black. Rotten Reunion would only be in the deck because it works with Champion of the Perished, and I don't think we should be playing any cards just because they synergize with one card in the deck when they're going to be mostly unplayable at other times. I don't even want to sort this, honestly. So many of these cards are bad. Yeah, I mean, Diabolic Intent, Reckoner's Bargain, Sugar Rush, Demon's Due, Join the Maestros, Cut of the Prophets, Maestro's Initiates, Skull Flare, Catapult Fodder. There's just nothing good. There's a Merciless Repurposing and an Extinguish the Light. Those are pretty fantastic. Scavenger's pretty solid. Hitotsugu could be solid. Atrocity could be solid if we're going black-red. We are woefully low on premium stuff and woefully high on garbage in the sealed pool so far. See what we've got out of red. A lot of cards that I would have considered garbage in their format that are super, super garbage here. Voldaren Ambushers, incredibly narrow. Brimstone Vandal was garbage in its own format and even worse here. Same with Daybreak Combatants, Forgehammer Centurion. Some really filler stuff out of red as well. Do we have anything worth playing in the sealed pool really at all? It doesn't look like it at all. I mean, look at the green now. Yeah, they're all just really filler creatures at whatever mana cost they're at. Good lord. This is our worst sealed pool we've opened the entire format. And we have gone, what, like 2-2 every time, basically? I really do not expect that we're going to make it out of this event. This is our last sealed pool. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the entire sealed pool now all together, and I'm just like, I am sifting for diamonds in the rough, and it is just more rough, just more poop all over the place. I'm smearing it everywhere. We've got 4 zombies total in the entire sealed pool towards the champion. And 2 zombie producers because of the decayed cards, so champion's not happening. Was there anything super powerful that was like a really good reason to be in any color? Oops. Accidentally put every card in the sealed pool and didn't remove them. Let's take another peek here. Just looking for anything that was a huge reason to play any of these colors. Summons really is not. I guess white, we get the value plays of the Overseer plus the Acolyte. We could go white-black so we get the Purifier Flesh Taker in there. Those were our best uncommons, I think, for multicolored cards. Yeah, and we could maybe fit Obscura Charm in there with some fixing. What's the mana fixing looking like? We've got a blue-white duel and a blue-black duel. We'd have 3 blue sources in the deck with just Beachfront, Aquifer, and Crystal Grotto. So that might be where we're headed here. Because white had a few of our best value commons. Best value cards in general, Overseer and Acolyte. It's also got solid removal with Cooped Up and Planar Disruption. I don't think any of our other colors had a ton of solid removal outside of black. Black had Extinguish the Light and Merciless Repurposing for solid removal. Again, I just don't like almost any of these creatures. I basically don't like any of these creatures. Or any of the other spells. With black, it really feels like we're just in it for Extinguish the Light and Repurposing. What's our blue look like? Oh yeah, bad. Taking another look at it here, I was like, maybe we can go blue-white, splash the black. I think white is our best color. Our blue doesn't look any better than our black, in my opinion. We've got just such garbage filler like Alchemist, Third Path Savant, Urza, Wanderlight Spirit, Anatomist, and Amalgam that are just going to get cut like immediately. Same with Secrets of the Key, Fear of Death, Negate, Ristic Study. Any great reason to play red? I mean, Imidane's Recruiter is a big one. If we're playing white, because white's the best color in the sealed pool, then we will have access to the Train Troops Adventure to make Imidane's Recruiter a 3-for-1. But we have almost no removal in red. We've got Excavation Explosion. There is no universe where I'm going to play Searing Barb here. But we've got Excavation Explosion for removal. The creatures are just not good. Can't even just try to like aggressive curve people out with Boros aggro. So we just don't have 2-drops for that. Yes, white's got the 2-drops. The creatures are just not good for their mana costs. Or 3-drops, that is. Like, I've got a stack of 3-drops, but only one of them is good, and that's Furnace Punisher. Which is just solid, it's not incredible. No top end here. Still feeling more black-white than Boros. At least we get to cut a lot of these cards. Black-white splash blue just for Obscura Charm. How good is Obscura Charm? What does it do? Again, it's been a long time. Destroy creature planeswalker mana value 3 or less. Not that good. Return a multicolored permanent with mana value 3 or less from a grave, so it's not very good. It's just going to destroy a small card for 3 mana. It's 3 difficult mana. Is our on-color removal just better? Just our black and white removal? Probably so. I don't see a reason to splash that because there's nothing else to splash in blue. There's no individually really good cards here. There's just some solid cards. Like maybe Syncopate. Yeah, just like fine counter spells, fine bounce. Card draw, a fine creature here, there, maybe. It's nothing great. There's nothing that really feels that far above filler. I mean, what do you do with this sealed pool? Genuinely just feels like Orzhov and Prey is all we've got available. We can cut 23 cards out of this at least. Artifacts and enchantments. There's no artifacts. How many enchantments? I'm not playing Sigarda Summons, Zealot's Conviction. Military Discipline might not be horrific. Military Discipline is just better Zealot's Conviction since we'll never have our opponent be corrupted. Yeah, we're going to have to run some level of pretty medium spells out of this sealed pool. Like, honestly, if I'm splashing, here's the thing, right? If I'm splashing into literally any other color, I'm just splashing for filler anyway. So we might as well just be on color filler. I guess I get a Scrapwork Mutt. That didn't show up when I checked things by individual color. I think that was the only card that we were really missing. Yeah, none of these other cards are big reasons to change anything. Yeah, Veteran's Power Blade doesn't do anything. Furnace Skull Bomb doesn't do anything. Dragon Engine's big and slow. Alright, Quick Draw Dagger is like a maybe for the combat trick, similar to the Zealot's Conviction. None of the other colorless cards are really playable though. Yeah, it's not great. Let's see if maybe Red Splash for Recruiter. That's the one thing I could think of that would be like maybe splash worthy. We don't have the lands to do that. So we would have to go Crystal Grotto and just play some mountains in here. So I don't think we have treasure either. Nope. I mean, if we're being realistic, Imidane's Recruiter is probably the strongest card in the whole sealed pool. So maybe we go red-white to have access to it. We get an Excavation Explosion in there as well. So we get like two really... Well, one really good card and another solid card by being in red. In black, we get Repurposing as our really good card. Extinguish the Light's a pretty solid one. But we also get a Markov Purifier, which can be decent. Because we can gain life with Scavenger, Overseer, Flesh Taker. I guess it's not going to be that consistent, but even if it's our only lifelinker on the board, it's possible it can get a swing off and then draw us a card. There's a chance it pops off by its own. I guess that's not a huge reason to be black-white in either the Flesh Taker or the Purifier. So I guess, yeah, go red to have Imidane's Recruiter and Excavation Explosion, or go black to have Merciless Repurposing and Extinguish the Light. And then there's a pretty quick drop-off from there in either color. If we do go all three colors, we also get some kickers. Because we get Balduvian Atrocities kicker ability. which does increase the power level of that card quite a lot, because then it might be able to reanimate something like a Woodland Acolyte or an Inspiring Overseer and draw us an additional card, which is kind of a big deal. And Splashing Red also gives us the Unearth ability of the Scrapwork Mutt. It gives us Hidetsugu's Exile ability. Sure. Guess we'll do that. Do all 3 colors. We'll throw in an Explosion, because our black cards are much less splashable. They're double black for the really good black cards. But the red cards just require a single red mana, so we'll throw in 1 Excavation Explosion, 1 Imidane's Recruiter. Now we've got all our good red cards in the deck as well. Maybe Juggernaut's better than some of our on-color filler. Yeah. This could be a thing. We get to cut 29 cards out of here. So let's just do things nice and simple and start by cutting down to like the best 7 to 9 non-creatures, and then I can throw things back in if I ended up cutting too many cards, but I'm definitely going Repurposing, Extinguish the Light, Excavation Explosion. Seems like way too slow and too much life to pay for modern limited standards, even if it is a sealed event. Could have a good enough curve for a turn triumphant. I'm probably rolling with it with Inspiring Overseer and Woodland Acolyte in the deck. Again, just trying to reanimate those premium 3-drops. Can be a way for us to get ahead in card advantage, get ahead in value. Let's see, these cards are all bad. Surge of Salvation was cute because it like can always counter a removal spell, and then when you do happen to be playing against black and or red, sometimes you get like a huge trick out of this, but it is still kind of narrow. Skull Bomb is a value play. It's a pretty slow one. One of these 3 cards is probably the 7th best non-creature spell. Just do the 6 for now. 17 creatures, 6 non-creatures, 17 lands. Cut 13 creatures. We're going low on that zombie count for the champion. Low on the artifact enchantment count for Michiko's Reign of Truth. 5 enchantments and 2 artifacts. Yeah, that's not happening either. Not splashing green for the Root Weaver. Guess this thing... Okay. This is a 2-mana 2/2 that for 5 mana and 2 life turns into a 3/3 that makes a copy of itself when it attacks. But it's a temporary copy. That does not seem very good, even with the red mana. Blightbelly Rat doesn't do anything. Strangler can be annoying at least. That's something. Keep it in for now. Flesh Taker is kind of only in here to go with Purifier, so we'll probably cut that if we still have plenty of room to cut cards soon. Creatures with higher toughness than power. Feels a little too synergy focused, and we're not going to have the synergy for it. There was a 2/3, there's another 2/3, so that's 2 cards that work with it, 3 cards that work with it. 4. We've got a decent... Well, 4 or 5 is not decent for ending up with 3 on board often. Okay, we've got some cards that work for this, but we still want to cut some of those, and that's still pretty inconsistent. 4 more cards to cut. Probably Initiate. Shield Basher, Goshintai, when it's the only Goshintai. Infected Defector? These are the 4 worst cards. I don't think Basilic Shepherd's super good because the Toxic doesn't matter, but it's still a flyer that gives us some little aggro doofuses for the Flesh Taker, some aggro dorks. Keep coming up with synonyms for dorks now, because somebody was like, you say dorks a lot. Well, that's what they are. They're little dorks. This deck does not look very good. But I am really just not seeing anything better. Another skim through the sealed pool here. But this might be where we're at in the end. I guess since we are on the red splash, that would allow us to put a Rowan or a Fatal Grudge in. I don't think there's a massive reason to do either of those. Rowan is just a strong creature for the mana cost, but not that insanely strong that like playing Rowan off the splash is that great. Because if we don't hit the red source to cast Rowan till turn 5 or 6 anyway, we could have just cast a 4 mana 4/2 menace, and that's just on curve for a mono-colored card. Even an artifact, honestly, at this point, could make a 4 mana 4/2 menace. So if we're not playing Rowan actively on turn 3, there's really no massive benefit to splashing them in. And Fatal Grudge is just not that great. It's pretty narrow. I don't think we're putting any of those in. And we're not playing any auras or equipment for Rayev, so that's not happening either. We are putting in a Crystal Grotto over the third mountain. But I guess this is just how our deck is going to be. We will call it a deck here. Alright, here we have a look at the final deck list for today. We're on a white-black build, splashing a little bit of red, just playing all of the best cards in our sealed pool. We've got some pretty good ones like Merciless Repurposing here, being a big removal spell and a creature all in one, and some other decent removal like Extinguish the Light, Cooped Up, Planar Disruption, just all the best removal in the sealed pool, alongside some really nice value plays like Inspiring Overseer and Woodland Acolyte, with some ways to maybe reanimate them for really good value like Balduvian Atrocity and Return Triumphant. So there are some little things that we could get going that could bring us pretty far ahead, but even here in our best colors, playing the best cards in our sealed pool, I don't feel super confident in this build. It's just a collection of decent spells with some filler alongside it, because there was really no way to avoid it. In this sealed pool, every color was absolutely loaded with primarily filler. But I don't know, we'll see how it goes here. Hopefully we're not just mercilessly repurposing my gems into thin air. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1 with both of our only 2 red sources in the opener. That's what it's all about, baby. That is a insta-mulligan. Still no white sources here. At least we can cast the Vengeful Strangler, I guess. Probably have to keep rather than mulling to 5 on the play. We've got a 2-drop, and as soon as we hit a white source, we get some excellent value. So I am going to keep here. Cross my fingers for the best. Off the top of this deck, we're looking for a white source in the next 3 draws. I guess 2 draws to play on curve. Our opponent starts with Evolving Wilds. Playing a green-red deck with a turn 2 Horned Stoneseeker. Excellent, excellent premium uncommon from that format. A 2-mana 2/2 Menace is already a great card, and it also gives them a Power Stone, which can give them mana for any abilities they want to use, or it can help them cast artifacts. Already feeling pretty behind here. We have hit another non-land spell, so still no idea when we'll be casting the white spells. And our opponent's 2-drop is much better than ours. Alright, they skip a turn as well, it looks like. But we've missed on the land again here. Oops. Invasion of Zendikar. Nasty. So much for our opponent potentially missing on lands. That is 4 colors, and they're ramped way up here. A third swamp before first plains on the 50-50 split between colors. How you doing? We have had literal 0 options all game. So far, 0 decisions to be made. We have a 2-1 that can't block, so the only gameplay decision that we've been able to make the first 5 turns of this game has been, do we mulligan? And I guess the answer was yes, because this white source was too late here. I am fairly certain this game is over by now. They've played and flipped an Invasion of Zendikar for a 3-for-1. 2 lands and a 4-4 Vigilance Haste. Their board state is massive. I can play a 5-3, or I can play one of these value play creatures. The 5-3 can at least trade into the 4-4, whereas the value creature can only trade into their 3-1. I have to just play the 5-3 by now. Strangler doesn't have to attack every turn, but it's not helping us at all on blocks. And setting up the Strangling Grasp can help get them to start sacking some permanents here, which could eventually get them to lose a creature. For now, they just sack the Power Stone, but the turn after this, we might actually clear something out. Glissa, that's better than my whole sealed pool. So you can't beat Glissa in combat because of First Strike and Death Touch. She's going to deal damage first, and she's going to kill your creature before it deals any damage back. And every time she hits you, so if you're just trying to avoid her, because of that First Strike Death Touch, your opponent's just going to keep getting value. They'll draw a bunch of extra cards. Alright, so opponent lights them up, sacks their 4-ed up creature to kill my Juggernaut. Another white source is definitely good, but I only have 5 mana here, so I can't play 2 creatures. I can disrupt Glissa and play a creature still this turn. Oh, I do have 6 mana. Never mind, I'm bad at math. Could play both creatures. Could play both creatures. For any of their creatures die, they get a rat. It's pretty nasty. I think I go Overseer for the life gain and disrupt the Glissa. And then we're going to try to get the Overseer to trade into the Thespian, then we can return Triumphant on it. Gain the life again and trade into somebody else. Duel for Dominance. Okay, so no blocks anymore. It's not good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not dead yet? I am. Cool. That's exactly 12 damage. Okay. 0-1 to start it off. As we said earlier there were just like no gameplay decisions. I guess we had to mulligan to 5. We could not keep our opening hand, so our only bet was to mull to 5 and somehow win while we're down 2 cards against this stuff. Don't feel like this game was winnable. I think that's just how the cards fell there. I'm swapping from 7-7 on white and black to 8-6 towards white, because we have more white spells than black spells. The issue is we have multiple double black spells that are really important. So that would be the justification for going exact even instead of going more white sources. And now that I'm going 8-6, we're not going to draw the black source all game. Watch. That would be really sad. But it's looking very possible. I'll trade Catharic Mana for this, I think. I don't know, maybe not. They need to get non-creature artifacts on the board before this can do anything. Ivory Tower? I guess it's a non-creature artifact to turn into a 4/4. I think I would rather trade with this than try to blow up the Ivory Tower, because I don't think this is generally going to be worth a card of value for them over time if they can't activate it or anything. Alright, Acolyte, find us the swamp. Well, that is an Imidane's Recruiter. Any land in our deck gets us to that. Blue, red, and green from our opponent. Magmatic Sprinter. This is a perfectly fine trade. I could also choose not to trade here, because that's going to keep taxing a lot of their mana. But I have the Balduvian Atrocity to pick up the Acolyte and draw me another card, so I kind of want that in my grave for whenever I hit my black source anyway. Rada Coalition Warlord. When it becomes tapped, another creature they control gets +3/+3 till end of turn. Okay, it doesn't do much by itself. And I need a land. But I've got some time. They just have a 3/3 right now. Probably don't even block that right now. It's 3 damage, go to 17. Oh, hey there. Now they get a 3/3 every single turn. Play a flyer to try to kill that. Can this kill one of my creatures? As a -4, it can, but they're not at a -4. So our best bet is to play the Shepherd and try to fly over to kill that. At least then they only got 2 3/3s off of it, but that would still be a pretty good deal for them. 4 mana for 2 3/3s. And fog one of my attacks. They're going to go for the mana here. Get a red and green, cast a Wandering Mind. Which means that can chump block and protect the Planeswalker, and they can keep getting 3/3s off of it. Plus it's a 2-for-1 just by playing it. They pick up another non-creature card, put it into their hand. And it's Memory Deluge, which is another 2-for-1. That one's actually a 4-for-1. The first time they cast it, they get the best cards out of the top 2 of their library, and then they flash it back and get the best 2 cards out of top 7. So that is very bad news. Tawashi Songshaper, just the 2-mana 2/2 basically. Gets +1/+0 when they play artifacts, but that's not going to happen often. Extinguish the lights. That is what I get for changing the mana base because of our lack of white sources game 1, isn't it? Now we get a lack of black sources. Oh. Here's Recruiter to train some troops, force the chump block here. Here's the Memory Deluge. Draw 2 out of the top 4. Get mana out of the Luca. Sandstalker Moloch just for a 4/2. Got no flying blockers. Well, there's the black source, sort of. Merciless Repurposing on top. I need another black source before I can cast that, but it's a really good play. If I play Imidane's Recruiter, I can kill Luca. Can also get some pretty good attacks in with my 2/2 Knights and the Recruiter itself. This does not seem like a horrible turn to play Imidane's Recruiter. Thinking about Balduvian Atrocity, but that just picks up Cathartic Mana and blows up their artifact that doesn't do anything. Or just picks up Acolyte to draw a card that I can't even cast this turn anyway. If I Recruiter, I have 3 mana up. I can play a Flesh Taker and an Imidane's Recruiter. But that's it. We're playing 2 spells this turn. I guess we might as well, right? Flesh Taker's pretty good with these Might tokens. Is Flesh Taker good enough with the Might tokens to justify not attacking with Flesh Taker this turn? Still costs me mana. +2/+2. Probably not. They hit me for 15 on the crackback. You know what? Sack 2 1s to these things to get more damage and seems fine. Let's just send everybody in. Nothing else. Send a message here. Hit for 10. Solid. They're at 8 life against a 3-power flyer now. We've got 2 removal spells coming up, but we need to find a swamp. So we need to Balduvian Atrocity into card draw. Shrapnel Slinger. They could sack Ivory Tower to kill 1 Might, which is honestly probably worth it. Oh, they have to sack a creature to do it. Never mind. Misremembered the card. Not worth sacking a creature. But I don't think Ivory Tower's gained them a single point of life so far. Song of Totentans. A bunch of rats that can't block. Balduvian Atrocity and Imidane's Recruiter. They block here, here, and block the Recruiter. But the Atrocity gets haste from Recruiter's ability. I am fairly certain that is lethal. Only 3 creatures that they control that can block. They block 3 for 3-power creatures, take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. No swamp, no problem here. I'm going to go right back to the 7-7 split, and then we'll go ahead and not draw our planes on time in game 3, I guess? We'll see. We'll see. 7-7 is probably how it's supposed to be here. Arguably, maybe it's supposed to be 8-7-1 mountain with one Crystal Grotto, but generally for splashing, like 3 feels like the minimum for cards that require a mana of their color, like Excavation Explosion. I guess Imidane's Recruiter doesn't require a red mana to do something. We can train troops without the red. Still feel like we need 3. I think we need 2 mountains and a Crystal Grotto, but I'm going to go back to 7-7 here. So we head into game number 3. At least got a victory out of this one. Alright, here we are on the play. Scrapwork Mutt's going to put in a lot of work here. We've got near perfect mana. Oh my god, why did I do that? Planes with a Battlefly Swarm in hand. The genius moves. Unstoppable moves from Goblet. Smut away the second planes. So we have 1 double white spell, but we've got a lot more double black than double white. I could discard the Juggernaut, just looking for more lands here, but then I'd be 4 lands in hand, potentially finding a 5th. Crystal Grotto, that's a good one. So we just scry and cast a Battlefly Swarm. think I'm just looking for lands now with trained troops and Juggernaut in hand. We missed out on like 2 points of damage this game. Battlefly Swarm would have hit them twice by now. If I'd played it turn 1. I think that's it though. So, if they win the game by 2 points of life, that's on us. But now the Battlefly Swarm's out anyway, and we wouldn't have cast anything else this turn regardless. This would have just been attacking with the Swarm again for that 2nd point of damage. Our opponent is on green, white, and black. A little hard to tell with their fancy Windows XP lands over there. Silver Bolt is the play. So, kills a small creature, something with 3 or less toughness for 3 mana. Alright, so draw into a Cooped Up. Not particularly interested in that right now, but it is not a bad card. I'm holding the Battlefly Swarm up here because the fact that they didn't attack at all last turn must mean that they don't really want to trade into it on attacks. So we're holding off like 3 points of damage by not attacking with it. If I attack with both my creatures and I have nothing untapped, I'm obviously taking 3. So I will give up on 1 point of damage to my opponent to potentially stop 3 to me. Unless they want to tap out on the Silver Bolt this turn. And if they want to tap out to Silverbolt to Battlefly Swarm, that's probably fine. Even just Return Triumphanting a 1/1 flyer is probably okay. It'll eventually become a 4/4 flyer on attacks. Because of the Young Hero roll, where it gets a +1/+1 counter on its first 3 attacks. That could be legitimate. Could be good. Alright. Opponent goes to combat, sends in the Bystander. Maybe they want me to not block here. Or they're just okay with the trade now. I don't think I'm blocking because I have trained troops. If I hit 1 more land, I just get 2 2/2s with Vigilance to try to trade into the Bystander instead. Shadow Beast Siding, get a 4/4. That's nasty. That is not my 5th land. Maybe I just shouldn't have discarded it all to the Scrapwork Mutt. Alright, we're still kind of chilling. We're not under a ton of pressure. I'm at 18 life. We've got great value once we get to the 5th mana. That can really help us get back in this game. Although our opponent's got great value when they get to 7, they get another 4/4. Alright, let's see if they cash in the Silverbolt here to save their 4/4. Nope. Let's trade into a 4/4. Griffwing Cavalry, a 2/2 flyer. Sends something else into the sky every time it attacks. And if it attacks alongside a bigger creature, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Yeah. So it's supposed to jump. The idea is to jump like their 4/4 into the sky. And then this attacks as a 3/3 flyer, and the 4/4 is a 4/4 flyer. Okay, we might have to coop that up. Cathar Commando for Silverbolt might not have been terrible there with my last 1 mana I was holding up. For now, I don't really think I need to deal with Griffwing Cavalry immediately. Now we've drawn into a Diregraph Scavenger to just stop the Shadow Beast Siding from flashing back. Scrapwork Mutt has reasonable attacks now. Yeah, we just send in. This thing eventually maybe becomes a 3/3. That just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. 3/3, then a 4/4, 5/5, so on. Doesn't do a whole ton right now. It could trade into our 2/1 or our 3/1, but I think that's fine. Alright, we're trading into the Panicked Bystander. Alright, they are going to cash in the Silver Bolts on the Diregraph Scavenger. Hit us for 3. Pass the turn. There's the 5th mana. Kind of want to Juggernaut first here. Try to outrace them. Ooh, they milled the creature. The Death Bonnet Hulk is a 3/3 now. Which means maybe we're just trading Juggernaut into the Hulk if they don't have removal up. Although they could tap some mana into throwing the Hulk into the sky. And then we just try to find like an Imidane's Recruiter Outrace out of nowhere, buffing the board, getting haste. Could cast Return Triumphant and the front half of Recruiter in the same turn, which could be a very unexpected amount of damage. If they go all in here. If they don't, we're probably going to have to coop something up. So in theory, I can Return Triumphant the 3/1 and cast Recruiter in the same turn, and that would be 1, 2, 3 plus 6, 9 damage, plus 4, 13, plus Recruiter is another 3. Be lethal if they tap out. Spend some mana into throwing the Hulk into the sky. And don't have a follow-up blocker. Could be a route to victory. Last turn in the end. Drawing into Explosion means that we can just kind of deal with both the blockers instead of doing anything else here. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Pretty hard to threaten lethal with those 2 creatures on their board. We can't go for our trick here. I could just train troops. I am at 15. I've got some time. I do kind of like clearing the path here. Could Return Triumphant this turn as well. On the 3/1. Does this Power Stone even help me at all? I guess it gives me mana towards Cooped Up's ability, but it doesn't help cast anything. Yeah, I kind of want to at least Explosion the Death Bonnet Hulk. I don't want to trade Juggernaut if I can avoid it. If I can keep my Giant Trampler on board, that would be pretty good. But I don't think I need to cash in my Cooped Up yet. Alright, they're just going to stop some damage here. Let's Return Triumphant. 3/1 because it attacks as a 4/1 and I've got another removal spell up. Actually attacks as a 4/2. But either way, attacks with a ton of power with that young hero roll. Scoured Barrens to bring them back to 10. And then a Fawn's Bane Troll. Incredible, incredible card. It's a creature and a removal spell all in one. They could fight the Juggernaut and then the Troll's no longer on board. They could fight the Commando and keep the Troll on board while clearing our side of the board off. I think we can lethal them either way. They play it here. Because we have Mutt plus Recruiter. So if they do it this way... Okay, this way is a maybe not. If they killed the Juggernaut, I think we could have lethaled by just playing Mutt and Recruiter and jamming in. I think I'm 1 mana off from killing them now. I guess Mutt I can do with the Power Stone, so I can do that. And then this for... I don't have enough red mana. I am 1 mana off from playing all of these. I can hit for 9 by playing Recruiter, or I can hit for 7 by using Mutt instead. But I cannot do both of these things. Oh. Shoot. The troll... Okay, we have to play in a very specific way right now. I just realized. The troll can sack any aura attached to it, regardless of if it's their aura or not. So I need to actually exile it to the cooped up instead of just passing turn here. That would have been miserable if I passed turn. Okay. If it didn't have that text where it could sacrifice any aura attached to it... Well, I guess you can only sacrifice cards you control. Okay, it probably didn't matter. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it didn't matter and I actually could have discarded my planes to draw a card to the Scrapwork Mutt. But probably better safe than sorry. We played around them having an additional aura of their own that way, I guess. It's definitely not the worst play in the world, even if they couldn't actually sacrifice our card. They get trampled down to 1. They're just dead to Recruiter. Alright, there's the concession. Weird little rules thing with the troll there. I don't actually think it could sacrifice our card. So, probably didn't have to actually fully exile it with the cooped up. We could have drawn the extra card discarding the planes, but again, in case they drew another aura, that would have stopped it in that circumstance. So I don't think it was the worst line in the universe, but it probably would have been better to discard the planes. I don't know. Magic's an interesting, difficult game, and this deck has somehow done as well as every other deck we've done in this event. We are right back at it with another 2-1 record here. If we lose the next game, we're just 2-2 every single time. Unless I'm misremembering things, we might have been 1-2 with the multicolored deck. But I think I've gone 2-2 twice at least. So that's just how it tends to go for me in the Chaos Seals. But we'll see. See if we can't get a few more wins here, get some of our gems back. I'll certainly do my best as we head into game number 4. Alright, here we are for game 4. We've got both of our most important colors. We're on a slower hand here, but I think it's worth it. We have excellent removal. We have both of our main colors as well as the splash off of the Crystal Grotto. We've got good card advantage with a Woodland Acolyte. I think this hand can do some things. Okay, black-white mirror match. This might be a little greedy, but I'm going to Cathar Commando during their end step first. Okay. The idea here is that I do have the Crystal Grotto to be able to cast Mend the Wilds to put a permanent for my grave back on top of my library, so if I end up playing like a really good permanent and wanting to get it back, I can do that and then redraw that permanent. Trade a 3-1 into a 2-3. Cool. Exile my own Cathar Commando to drain them for life, or I just drop the Acolyte here and give up on the Mend. Let's give up on the Mend. I'm not going to put a Cathar Commando back on top of my deck. Alright, Scrapwork Mutt. Okay. Nothing turn 4. Jam in for 2 and then drain them for some life. I guess I am exiling my own Cathar Commando, which could be a little bit awkward if we draw into my Graveyard Recursion spell that picks up something, puts a Young Hero roll on it. But if I draw into that, if Woodland Acolyte is dead by then, I would rather pick up the Acolyte most of the time anyway. Charmed Clothier, just a 3-3 in the sky, that's it. Here's an excavation explosion, which is perfectly sized to kill that and perfectly costed to kill that and let me play my mutt in the same turn. Okay. Looks good to me. No discard from the mutt, though. Well, that's a good draw. If they don't play anything that impacts the board severely here, that impacts the board severely here. So we're going to kill that. All right. I was going to say I can just train troops if they don't like super affect the board. But they super affected the board, so we're going to extinguish the light instead. Killing that immediately so they can't cast anything under it. If I wait till my next main phase, if they hit a 1 mana instant, they could have cast that with their white source up. They can't cast Taken by Nightmares or my Swamp. Cool. Blitz Automaton is a 3/2 on blocks. Can Planar Disruption that and play Recruiter. Just really trying to cheese out lethal here. Lethal Exploit. Okay, they are definitely dead to Recruiter on this board. 1 mana up. Alright, we broke through the 2-win ceiling of our previous runs. We are 3-1 this time around. I think just 1 win away from getting a couple gems back. Maybe we can get to some gems this time around. That'd be super sweet. At the very least. Who knows? We're 3-1 heading into game number 5. Farthest we've ever gotten. Alright, here we are for game 5. Really good value hand here. It's a little flooded potentially, but that's what Scrapwork Mutt's doing here. Can save us from some mana flood. It's just excellent card draw. Mutt into Overseer with removal if we need it. Like the hand a lot. It's got all 3 colors too. Spara's Headquarters, turn 1 from our opponent, so incredible fixing there. 3-colored land to start it off. Nothing, turn 2. Let's Scrapwork Mud away the second white source, because we've got more double black spells than double white spells. And we do have a red card in hand, sort of, with Hidetsugu. Prosperous Thief. They managed to hit me with this, they get a treasure token. Probably doesn't matter too much, but I still think I'd rather hold up the Mutt and trade that off than trade the Overseer off, so I don't think I'm attacking this turn. I'd probably rather them not get a treasure. And we'd also be trading 2 to them for 3 to us. Era of Enlightenment. Scry 2, gain 2 next turn, and then get a 2/2 first striker the turn after that. Really great value for the mana cost. Big fan of that card. Big fan of most of the sagas from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. They were all great. Circle of Confinement. Exile the Inspiring Overseer. If we draw Cathar Commando, that would actually be an incredible draw now. Blow up Circle of Confinement, get back our little card draw. Would be good value. Okay. Here's Hidetsugu. I'm still going to hold off of the attack here. In case they removal spell Hidetsugu and get a hit in, because they did not play a land last turn. So that treasure token could be very valuable to our opponent. So we're going to try to make sure this thief will not be able to connect all game. Ossification, yep. That is what I was worried about. Clear out Hidetsugu. 1 mana away from Merciless Repurposing being excellent removal. For now we'll play a Juggernaut. Pass the turn again, so they can't just blow up Juggernaut and get Thief in. There's our opponent's 5th land. So all 3 cards in their hand are spells, which is concerning. But we've got 3 spells in hand of our own. Ooh, Gale Drifter. 3/2 flyer can come back from the grave later as well. That seems like a decent target for exile-based removal. Playing against a blue deck here, we want to do this while they're tapped out. Now that they have 6 mana, it's probably not the end of the world if we don't get to stop the thief from getting treasures, but this works too. If we just trade into the thief, that's cool. Okay. So we're going to trade into the thief with our Unearth card, so we'll get value out of it later, and now let's just repurpose the Gale Drifter while they're tapped out. Looked like a good turn to me. Basilica Shepherd, another flyer. This one doesn't do anything when it comes back from grave. It's 2 mana to flip our Incubator, so we'd like to hold that 2 mana up so I can extinguish the light, the Shepherd, and hold 2 up, or I could Planar Disrupt it, play a Battlefly Swarm, and still hold the 2 up. I think I'll do that then. Planar Disruption. Battlefly Swarm. I guess with Imidane's Recruiter in hand, realistically, I should just flip this and attack with it, rather than flipping it to block with. The only reason that I'm tempted to flip it to block is there is a chance, it's a small chance, but there's a chance our opponent will attack into it without realizing I can flip it at instant speed. You never know which formats our opponents have played. They might not have played around or against too many incubator tokens to know that that is an instant speed ability. Incubator. That sounds like some kind of super villain that bakes cakes or something. Like puts eggs in the cakes that spawn into alien creatures that crawl out of your chest when you're done. The Incucaker. Alright, opponent's racing. We're cool with it. We've got tons of random extra damage off Recruiter later. They might have tons of extra random damage here. Do they have Ninjutsu? They got more than the Prosper thing? Dang! Talk about value. 1 pack of Neon Dynasty and they get some sick Ninjutsu synergies. I'm jealous every time. Now they get to recast the Saga, scry 2 and gain 2 again. Still takes a while to turn back into a creature, but they get to redo all the value plays from it. Heron Blessed Geist is the play instead, a 3/3 flyer. They can exile it from their grave to get 2 1/1s with flying. Dang, now I kind of wish I left Planar Disruption to deal with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana on board. If I play this Swamp as my 7th mana, I am 1 land away from playing Train Troops and the Recruiter in the same turn, which could be oops, I win levels of damage. For now, I could Unearth Juggernaut this turn, attack with my 3/3 and my 5/3 trample. That's threatening a lot of damage. They probably trade with the 3/3, take 5, go to 9. Maybe I Unearth the Juggernaut and only attack with the Juggernauts. So if the Geist ends up in their grave, they're going to have 2 1/1s on blocks. We want to engineer a board state where they're not going to have a lot of blockers up. I think it's probably fine to just attack with the Juggernaut here. I highly doubt they trade. Yeah, so we can cash in enough damage to get them close to that Recruiter lethal next turn, while putting them in a position to be potentially willing to attack with the Heron Blessed Geist and just leave a single blocker up. Instead of if the Geist ended up in their grave and they're holding many blockers up. Tetsuko Umezawa means we basically have to lethal them next turn now. All their 1-power creatures and 1 toughness creatures have unblockability now. Not good. And Tetsuko Umezawa means they're probably not attacking with the Geist this turn. Because now they can get plenty of unblockable damage in without it. I am not in love with how things are playing out. There's no reason for them not to hit us with the creatures that can't block. So they're just going to hit us with those. Alright, they're leaving up all their blockers. That's not ideal at all. That is as far from ideal as you can get. I can extinguish the light and cast Recruiter so that they only have one blocker. Well, they only have 2 blockers up against 4 attackers, but they block our 2 biggest creatures and take 5, and they're very much still alive. I could cast Kemba and extinguish the light, the Tetsuko Umezawa at instant speed, unless they have a counter spell, but shutting off their ability to get unblockable damage in here would be big. But I don't think we're going to be able to surprise kill an actually important creature. We would just surprise kill the might tokens anyway. I think I just extinguish the light Tetsuko Umezawa right now, while they're mostly tapped out, since they are on blue. It's as tapped out as they're going to get here. 2 mana up. Oh, they're going to get that gain 2 next turn. That's annoying. Okay, that resolves. Could attack with a 3/3. They could trade with Geist, and they're making the flyers next turn. I would again rather not do that. I'm just going to play the Kemba. Inspiring Overseer, that is an incredible draw. They get another blocker down, they gain a life, and they draw a card to get to their next play. And it's a Marshal of Zhalfir, which is another blocker. No attacks. That 8th Imidane's Recruiter mana. Need 10 mana to make 2 cats. Attack with 3 extra creatures. 4 blockers against 7 attackers. Them for a chunk of change here. And they have to lose most of their board. We lose a Kemba. We lose 4 of our creatures out of 7. I won't have the mana up to give the Battlefly Swarm Death Touch. They can actually block Battlefly Swarm with Heron Blessed Geist and keep that around. I still think this is the play. Put them down to 3, wipe out everything but Heron Blessed Geist. We've only got 1 mana up here. And then they're going to have a Heron Blessed Geist and a 2/2 First Striker up next turn against 3 creatures of ours. And Scrapwork Mutt can unearth, which is a big, big deal for trying to crack in for lethal next turn. What on earth do they have for 1 mana? Oh my god, okay. Yeah, that's insane. You got me. One of the mythic uncommons from March the Machine. Just convoke your whole board and counter something for free. Force of Will's back, baby. And now I can't really do any attacks. Yep. Now we're just losing. What a spell. Fair enough. Imidane's Recruiter is a mythic uncommon as well. I just really thought we might be able to get somewhere with this one. I didn't think that at all from the start. I feel like this was the worst sealed pool we've opened. But, wow. I am ready to insta-scoop here, but we might as well play it out. The Tome Seeker to re-pick up the Artistic Refusal to just double Force of Will us. Even better than Force of Will, they don't have to pay life and they get to draw cards. Obviously that's hyperbole, because you have to have a really big board state to use the Artistic Refusal. But at this point in the game, it is better than Force of Will. Yep, now they just keep tapping down the Battlefly Swarm and killing me in 3 more attacks. Dang. Probably should have played the Swamp. If I top deck exactly a Plains next turn, I could play 2 2/2s off of Kemba next turn if I had played the Swamp and then also Plains next turn. They have Preening Champion too? Oh my god! Preening Champion, Inspiring Overseer. There it is, Artistic Refusal. I feel outclassed. Anyways, felt like we were getting some momentum on this one. 0-1 into 3-1, got 3 wins in a row. That felt real great. But just can't quite get there out of this game. 3-2 would still be the best record we've had so far. That's still impressive for this sealed pool. I think it really matters what I target. We just die next turn. They can also just refusal this if they have a way to do that without dying on board, and I'm pretty sure they do. They're at 12 life. Even if they tap their entire board, I think they're still alive. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Alright. GG. Well, that is going to do it for the Festival in a Box Chaos Sealed events. We are 3-2, and unfortunately, all we accomplished value-wise is letting Wizards of the Coast beat us up and take our lunch money. But in the end, this deck did dramatically better than I thought it would. I think this was our worst sealed pool we've played so far, and it did better than all the rest of them, so I guess we'll take that. 3-2, positive win rate overall. I don't think we could have done much better with this pool at all. That's just kind of what we opened, what we drew into, kind of how these games were going to go here at 3-2 for the final Festival in a Box Chaos Sealed event. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.